Everybody, and welcome to Honey Badger Radio, coming to you live from deep within whatever. My name is Brian. I'm here with Karen, and this is the Rantzerker. I'm not gonna set up a bunch of preamble. We're just gonna get into it. Let's get stuck in. Hit like for the stream so that more people might see it. We have a special, I guess it's a request from one of our patrons, maybe, but Allison took particular interest in it. So she's like, you guys got to talk about this. So essentially, the video we're going to be talking about is entitled Sexual Harassment and Assault in Astronomy and Physics. And we have a young lady here. Oh, yeah, I know. Well, Allison said, because Mike is an engineer, maybe, you have some feedback. So we're going to see what she has to say about this. I'm not.
I noticed the video is 2 hours long.
Mm-hmm. We're not even gonna dip our toes to that degree. So Allison sent me time codes, and she wrote tons of notes. She even has an entire transcript of the video, but I don't think it's necessary.
What?
We can jump. Yeah, but the Riverside makes transcripts for you, so it's not like she sat there, fucking Alan Turing and did like the no. So, so I have time codes. I'm just gonna get to a couple of things of note that Allison brought up, and we will we'll just look at some of her statements, but essentially. She talks about how there's a dangerous culture of sexual predation on women in the field of physics and the STEM fields in general, I suppose. And she brings to make her case, she has 3 anecdotes or 3 stories that she talks about. So we're going to take a look at these. Let's start with an introduction. First of all, before we get into it, if you guys want to send us a message at any point during the show, you can go to feedthebadger.com/just-a-tip and send through a Super Chow. These are better for us than the Super Chats that people send through YouTube because YouTube takes about half of the money. And if you don't want YouTube taking half the money, and they also, to some degree, they censor, they have character limits. There's a lot of other disadvantages or downsides. So if you want nothing but the upsides and you want to make sure that we get all of the money, send it to feedthebadger.com/just-a-tip to send a message. And it hasn't started yet, but I think Allison is starting a fundraiser for a meetup we're going to do in Calgary, Alberta, or in that thereabouts, at the actual place where Allison was kicked out of the expo. And if you remember correctly, we all were hanging out. Oh, Alan, Karen had to step away. Where we did our first
I had
meetup.
to turn off my camera because he's stomping back and forth in his underpants.
Yeah, sure. He's daring you.
Which could be construed as sexual harassment in the field of engineering.
Yep. No, for sure. Anyway. So there will be on the lookout for the fundraiser for that. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So I guess I play a little intro. I don't know if I really need to do this. Let me see. I will go to Allison's note. She asked me to read something first. So the summary. So the conversation focuses on I'll just put the camera on me. The conversation focuses on the issue of serial sexual harassment and assault in the field of astronomy. The speaker shares personal experiences and discusses the general acceptance of such behavior within the community. 3 principal themes emerge: the pressure to publish as an early career researcher, the prevalence of sexual harassment and assault in astronomy, and the lack of consequences for perpetrators. The conversation highlights specific areas of harassment and the failure of institutions to address the issue effectively. The speaker questions the hiring practices of universities and the prioritization of scientific achievements over the well-being of victims. The conversation discusses the response to the sexual harassment allegations against Jeff Marcy, a prominent astronomer. It explores the flaws in the Nobel Prize selection process and the controversy surrounding Marcy's award. It also delves into the timeline of Marcy's harassment, the open street secret nature of his behavior, and the lack of consequences that he faced. So anyway, let's get into the first time code. I'll just start from the beginning, and then that'll maybe hopefully set up, like the setting, and then we'll get into where she gets into the details of her thing. So I'm gonna start by playing some of the video.
I attended EAS online, and I gave a talk in the DEI section about being a first-generation graduate student. And later on in the panel, we were asked a question that was like, what's the most stressful thing about being an early career researcher?
Can you turn up the volume on this video?
Is it too low? I can turn it a little bit more, but she's pretty soft spoken. But actually, I want to say there's something that she said right at the beginning that I don't think Allison caught. Let me just go back. I'll play it just the first couple of seconds, and I heard it right away. So let me play this.
Over the summer, I attended EAS online, and I gave a talk in the DEI section about being a first-generation graduate student.
In the DEI section, yeah.
The DEI section. So okay. Maybe Allison doesn't know what DEI is. I know that she doesn't get too plugged in on things, but that's like a massive red flag. She has to know, yeah. But did she not catch that? Because that is pretty much that's the mother lode of this whole thing. I was thinking in a
red flag.
Yeah, well, to me, yeah, huge red flag. All right, so let me see. Let me jump to where she actually makes the allegation. So let's jump to Allison says that she starts detailing. This woman essentially wants to unperson men accused of sexual harassment in academia, remove their credit for their work, stop citing them, and exile them from their careers. So it's not even about criminal prosecution. It's about reputation destruction. Okay. That's another red flag, isn't it?
Well, okay, but so even if you have a serial philanderer like a Lothario, a freaking Marquis de Sade, floating around in the realm of astrology, what does that have to do with his actual fucking work product? Right? Why would you not cite his work if his work is competent and accurate? This is they want to turn every single scientific field into a club, not a career, not a search for discovering how the universe works and how things happen within it, right? It's not about the biology. It's not about the astronomy. It's not about the freaking quantum physics. It's not about any of that. It's not about the actual whether the bridge will stand up or the bridge will fall down. It's about whether he behaved properly every fucking moment during his career. Right? That's what it's about. And if he did not do that, if he offended one woman, if he crossed a boundary, a social boundary, a single fucking time, okay, his entire body of work, he could have cured cancer. Well, we just have to fucking bin that shit because he sexually harassed a lab assistant. What?
Yeah. And in related news,
we didn't even bin the discoveries that the Nazis made when they were experimenting on concentration camp victims, right? When they were experimenting on Jews and Roma and freaking prisoners of war and the mentally and enfeebled, right? And all of these people, right? When they were running those, we didn't bin that research. We said it was unethical for them to have done that research, but they found some shit out. Right?
Yeah.
And we're not going to bin what they found out just because it was like, this isn't a freaking court of law where the fruit of the poison tree means someone who's dyed in the wool fucking guilty of committing some kind of horrible felony, right, gets to walk free because the warrant, the search warrant wasn't properly obtained, right? That's not what this is. This is science. This isn't law. This is science, right? And you don't just throw away results. You don't just say, oh, well, we're just going to block any citations to that guy's work, regardless of how valid it is, right? Because he offended some freaking damsel and she complained to her superiors, right? Like, because he has a reputation for being like a sexual predator, whatever. You don't do that, right? You don't. This is not law. This is not religion. This is not morality. This is science, and science is supposed to be about the science, not about the personalities, not about the freaking alleged wrongdoings or alleged moral rectitude of the scientists involved, right? Does the research make sense? Do the results make sense? Are they replicatable? If they are, yeah, you don't throw that away because you don't like how the guy behaves socially. Like, and this is what she's suggesting.
Yeah, basically. I mean, that's what it seems like. Let's see what she says. Allison says she starts
back to like flat Earth and and all of that shit because I'm sure Copernicus wasn't exactly like the most upstanding freaking dude in the 14th century, right?
Yeah.
We should just throw everything away. Throw it all away. Throw.
Well,
like
a woman is uncomfortable, so yeah. I mean, it all has to go. Burn the Constitution.
No, throw thousands of years of scientific discovery away because the people who made those discoveries were not morally perfect.
Yep. In related news regarding a similar subject, E. Jean Carroll is trending on Twitter, X.
Oh.
I don't know why. Apparently Trump filed an appeal or something because of her allegations. But anyway, I'm not suggesting that allegations are a quick and dirty way to get, rise up and level up in your career or make some money or just destroy somebody out of spite. I'm just pointing out there's
she didn't get awarded $83 million. She didn't. E. Jean Carroll didn't get awarded $83 million by an incredibly biased court within an incredibly biased district of a city, right? She didn't get that based on a lawsuit that was funded by Trump's political opponents, right? Well, and there wasn't any instance of the judge basically saying, well, you can't bring this evidence in that would be that you say is exculpatory because it's too late now. It's lovely. This is where we're at. And this is why I wish science was, science is supposed to be beyond all of those things, right? It's supposed to ignore those considerations, right? And doing science, doing research, doing experiments, right? Those should all have ethical and moral and legal implications before you do them, right? But what you learn from the research, it's either correct or it's not.
Yep.
right? And if it's correct, it stands and it should be cited, including Joseph Mengele's experiments.
All right, let's listen to her detail her idea. So I'm gonna uncheck these for a second. I don't know how long it's gonna take, but this is what Allison picked out. So
done anything that would go against this ethics statement. Because a trend I noticed is that these people often leave universities and they just go to a new university at a clean slate. And because letters of recommendation are so important in job applications, I have to assume that who's ever writing these letters is just completely ignoring this. So maybe instead we need to prompt them to discuss this with the hiring committee. Maybe someone will still get hired. Like maybe you can be like, yes, there was a Title IX complaint 4 years ago. It was resolved. He's not done anything since then. And the hiring committee can decide what they want to do with that information. But
okay. You know what's hilarious is I was just watching a video where someone was saying that, someone was talking about a small businesswoman, right? She's got a business with fewer than 500 employees, right? And and she says she goes out of her way to avoid hiring anyone who buys into the woke stuff, right? So and then when she does accidentally hire someone who's woke, right? She gives them a glowing recommendation based on their wokeness to their next employer.
Really?
Right? Yeah, no, because it's like, if you want to stop the woke thing from spreading, right? Well, you try and keep it out of your own house. And then when you have a bunch of competition companies, right, who are buying into the woke thing, just feed them more of what they want, right? Just give the glowing recommendation. Oh yeah, no, she was super woke, and you should hire her. And it's like, and this has been, when it comes to references and things like that, this has always been a thing, right? And not just with wokeness or with sexual misconduct or whatever. If you have somebody that you're as an employer, you're committed to keeping them, right? You're committed to keeping them. It's cheaper to keep you, right?
Yep.
And they say that they would like a reference for a new job. You're just like, oh yeah, no, I'm going to say that you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. Right? And then they're going to give you the job, and then you're out of my fucking hair.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
If my husband, because he's got one toxic coworker who is, and he's so toxic, he's caused 2 people to quit a union job. Okay? A union job that pays $130 a year. So $130,000 a year. Right? In a market where if you work for a private company, you're making about 95. Okay? And you got no job security. Okay? And these people found this guy so toxic, so intolerable, that they quit. They quit this freaking...
Yeah. Oh, Alex, Karen, you dropped. Wait, what happened? Karen disconnected. She might come right back. Hopefully, we'll see. Somebody in the chat said, real quick, define woke. I'm just going to tell you right now. Critical consciousness. We're not just calling things woke without knowing what it is. I've been doing this for 10 years. Don't at me. Okay, where's Karen? Let's wait and see if she gets back. Meanwhile, I will play some of this video. So let's get back to this while I wait for Karen to come back. Here we go. Let me just uncheck these things, and I will go here and listen
So
to
the
that.
first person is Christian Ott. Oh, I'm gonna say their names, but none of the names of the victims, just because I don't think that their life should be associated with the terrible things that people did to them. But Christian Ott is at Caltech. Oh, and I've printed it out. I'm just gonna read it without comment, hopefully, on what was done. So it's 2013. Ott fires a first-year graduate student he had been working with because he couldn't emotionally deal with her anymore. His group was talking a lot on Skype and I presume Slack and emails, and so all of like the transcripts of these documents were given to the Title IX office and then published.
All right, she's gonna go into a bit of an anecdote. Karen hasn't come back yet. She should. I mean, probably just a connection issue or something. So we'll just have to wait and see if she comes back. But I just want to say, like, I haven't seen this video, so I'm gonna be like making a little bit of a. I'm going with my instincts here, my gut, and my personal experience, so that I've seen. And one thing that I have seen a lot. Let me see if maybe Karen's trying to email me or something. One thing I've seen a lot is that ever since the Me Too movement was starting to pick up steam around 2015, feminists have been using allegations not to imprison anyone, although if they did become imprisoned as a result, that was kind of like a bonus, but essentially to maneuver themselves career-wise, to put themselves in positions. And one of the things that I started to see this in first was in the animation industry. I did a whole thing about the animation industry and all of the ways that activists work with unions to essentially make allegations to take men out of the animation industry and then bring women in. And I know the animation industry seems like a small, maybe like inconsequential place, but it's about the practice. It's not about where it happens. And the practice is happening everywhere. So it's in schools, and maybe it started in schools. Maybe that's where it began, because if you look at the schools, there are very few men that are teachers. Maybe there are coaches. Maybe there are some that are shop teachers. Maybe some in the at the faculty level, like principals. But as far as like actually working with the children, very few. And a lot of it has to do with this kind of stigma that we have about men being around children. Karen's giving the silent treatment. I might have to like send her a message. But anyway, what I'm going to say to sum it up is what I think is happening here is this woman she's not making criminal allegations, but she is saying, oh, these guys are doing bad things. Maybe they shouldn't work here anymore. Maybe schools should know, because they can just like get this allegation, get expelled or lose a job or something like that, lose their tenure, and then they go to another state and they start over again. And she's basically saying that shouldn't be allowed. And this is cases, by the way, that, again, they don't become criminal. They don't go to like the cops. They're handled within, oh, Karen, you're back. They're handled within the school.
I'm back. You disappeared.
No, I'm still streaming.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Well,
yeah. I'm sorry, you just dropped suddenly. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's a me thing, but it could be.
The video and you disappeared, and it was just me.
Oh, so you were just in the call by yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
I don't get it. That might be a Video Ninja thing. This was designed by like one guy, so, but anyway, I was just talking about, because I played a little bit of the video while you were gone, and she is basically like bringing up this guy named Christian Ott, and essentially he was, said some things in emails and like private chats, so not even really in person, that made women uncomfortable. And she's basically like saying that something should be done about it. And I was just talking about how I've noticed this pattern of activists working with union groups that are specifically woke, which I don't have a problem saying because that's what it means. And they want to give, like they want to prioritize the careers of some people, the people that they stand to cherish or promote. And then they oust the straight white male pale and stale people that are already there.
Yeah.
And I was saying that this happened for sure in the animation industry and in others, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was this, because why would a woman make allegations, not go to police, but insist that these men lose their jobs or lose their titles or essentially have their careers ruined? And then what? Who fills the void? And I think that's what's going on, but I haven't seen enough. I was just speculating.
Well, no, I think you're onto something there, right? Because like honestly, if all it takes in the corporate world is a vague allegation, right, to get rid of somebody, and then you step in and get their job, and it might not be somebody who's like, okay, can you not, okay, just. Well, why don't you take the whole thing? Jesus. Sorry, I'm just
That's all right.
sparing the audience from the sight of my husband in his underwear. But no, if you have a situation where, and it's not even necessarily that the guy is a sexual harasser or whatever. He might just be somebody who's annoying. He might just be somebody who's like
well, what about like these guys that are in these kind of fields are probably pretty introverted and awkward, right?
Well, sure.
Yeah.
And introverted, awkward, autistic. But when you look at it from my husband's standpoint, right? Like with his toxic coworker, the guy does nothing but obstruct the performance of work. That's his mission in life, is obstruct work from happening. And it frustrates everybody. It frustrates his manager. It frustrates the other three team members, frustrates all of the managers in the other departments, right? It frustrates everybody, right? He's never actually been accused of anything sexual. And I'm starting to think that, if I were a woman who was being obstructed in my work by this person, it would be very easy to make an allegation and get him the hell out.
Yep. Or maybe you just want his job. Or maybe you just want all your friends to work where you work,
Yeah.
And so you get this guy fired, and then or multiple men. I mean, this is what happened. Like I said, in animation, there were all these studios, and they were mostly occupied and run by men. And then a bunch of women in animation, backed by a union called the Women in Animation, they made like an open letter. Had all these like females sign it. And then they were like, yeah, here's the scope of the problem. And then suddenly a bunch of guys lost their jobs, or they were just silently pushed out because, you can't, like, depending on what the laws of your state, like some are at will, some are not. But they just pushed these guys out, and then they just replaced them with all these women who all like know each other. And they're like, hey, we are all working in the same place now. And then those companies go to shit. But yeah, I mean, that's what I seen it happen. Talk to people about it, and so I think that that's kind of what's happening, at least with this woman is pushing for. And it goes to your point, like, why should we care about science when a woman is like uncomfortable? Let's just let it all burn, So, anyway, I got a couple of Super Chows. I want to read them really quick, and then I'll go to another time code. So Richard Pierre gives us $5 and says, I have heard that in certain religious laws, I have heard that in certain, I'm just going to read it as it's written, okay? In certain religious laws, that depriving someone of the ability to earn a living would be considered a form of murder. A counter argument would be that the person could always find the other means of employment, though.
Well, it depends on whether the entire job market has been overtaken by DEI and whether you carry a reputation with you to your next job interview.
Yeah, like I did an interview with some guys in the that were in the military, and they were facing false allegations, and they have horror stories of guys that, I mean, like, aside from the guys that just get thrown in jail, or the military courts deal with it and they keep it in house because they don't want, like, anyone to know that this is going on, and so they just sort of like they essentially just send them on to like the punishment. But even if those things don't happen, you get on a list and it's nearly impossible for you to find a job. So depending on what it is you're accused of, and it doesn't even matter if you're like, even if like there are guys who have been cleared of all charges, not found guilty of anything, and there are still companies that are like, yeah, we can't take the risk. We can't hire you.
Well, Gordon Smith, like this was, I don't know if you remember Gordon Smith, but his wife, Tiffany Smith, she accused him 13 times, and
I think so. I remember that
8 times on those 13 accusations, arrested and jailed and questioned and all of that, and he always had receipts to show that he was not anywhere near her, and then she just kept changing her story, right? But I think he was like in Vermont or something like that, right? And it was a state where employers, when they do a criminal background check, they don't just get your conviction record, they get your arrest record as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he had 13 arrests for sexual assault and spousal violence. And so he couldn't get a job, right? Because every employer would do a criminal background check and could see his arrest record, right? And every single time that he was able to prove that her allegation, was just as false as the last one, they would talk to her, and then she would just be like, "Oh, I must have misremembered the day," right? And the only reason she was ever caught was because she actually punched herself in the face, okay, a bunch of times in an alley, and roughed herself up on the bricks of the walls in that alley, okay, and then walked a block to an emergency room and said, "I was just assaulted by my ex-husband."
Oh my God.
Yeah. And, so it had to have happened within the last 20 minutes. Okay. Right. It wasn't just like, oh, this was sometime last month. Oh, I must have misremembered the date. No, it was like it literally just happened. Okay. And I recognized him. He wasn't wearing a ski mask. He wasn't, he wasn't concealing. It was him. Okay. And because of his previous 13 arrests, right? And he was never charged with anything. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
They never pressed charges because he was always able to prove that he was nowhere near her at the time, right? They made him wear an ankle monitor.
Yeah.
And maybe they did that to try and help him out. right?
Oh,
So
yeah, I
his
can see
ankle
that.
monitor showed him like 5 miles away when this thing that just happened minutes ago allegedly happened, right? And you know what he got out of that?
What?
Visitation rights for his kids.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That is crazy. All right, let's get to another. Oh, I got more things to read. So I got another Super Chow from Richard Bier. He gives us $5 and says, in order to see Karen's husband in his underwear, you have to be a subscriber to his OnlyFans page, as it's behind the paywall. Content can't be shown on the free to public view streams. Thank you for that. Really hilarious. And then NovaFan21 gives us $1 and says, haven't there been Western scientists who got canceled by feminists and then got work in China? She not realized she's also fueling the backlash of men refusing to associate and help women. No, she doesn't care, because you can create a climate where men don't want to be around women, and then you can blame those men. You can accuse them of like not liking women because they don't want to work around them. It's like a super abusive situation, but not much can be done about that. All right. Well, thank you. Yeah. Hold on a second. All right. For some reason, why is your camera not showing up? Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay.
Yeah,
All
no,
right.
I'm having problems, and I don't.
Is it your internet?
It's not the internet per se. It might be my actual.
Is your computer getting really hot?
No, a little bit.
All right.
No, but I just closed a couple of tabs, so.
Oh, maybe it's just running too many things. Playing Space Marine 2. Okay, so let's see. So the next bit is I'm gonna turn this off. I don't think I need to use the auto scene switcher here. So we're gonna go to the next time code where she's talking about this guy named Christian Ott. So that's the bit that I want you to listen to. This is her anecdote. So I'm gonna switch sources and play it.
Should be associated with the terrible things that people did to them. But Christian Ott is at Caltech. Oh, and I've printed it out. I'm just going to read it without comment, hopefully, on what was done. So it's 2013. Ott fires a first-year graduate student he had been working with because he couldn't emotionally deal with her anymore. His group was talking a lot on Skype and I presume Slack and emails, and so all of like the transcripts of these documents were given to the Title IX office and then published in the Title IX report. So here's a quote.
Title IX.
Ott messaged her 5 days after firing her. Of all my students, I cared most about you, and I failed in the worst way. My problem is that I don't want to be in a power position, but I factually am. So later, he's having a conversation with another one of his graduate students, also a female. I'm going to call her Student B. And he's talking about Student A. And he said he fired Student A because she was using her sexual influence over him to not do work. And Ott tells Student B that he fired her because he was in love with her. It's 2014. Ott attained early tenure after only 5 years of employment. 2014. It's reported that Ott is continually getting drunk and messaging his students at very late into the night and saying inappropriate things. He keeps messaging Student B and discussing how he's still in love with Student A. He also details a previous relationship that he's had with the student.
Okay. Again, I don't know how much of this is even true, but I'll just read a summary of like what happened. So the article that she's reading from indicates that Christian Ott lost a suit accusing two of his colleagues of defamation as a result of the loss of his job at the University of Stockholm. In the ruling, the two district judges said that Resinen had improperly used the word sexual harassment in 3 social media posts describing Caltech's finding against Ott. But the error didn't constitute defamation, they said, because there was no malicious intent, and because Resinen, I think that's one of the women, that were the accusers, stopped using the phrase in which was included in several news stories once he learned it was incorrect. So the court says they corrected their misuse of the term sexual harassment, which means Ott couldn't have been charged with harassment by Caltech. So there is a suggested but not confirmed issue here, I guess. Then she says, I guess to make it seem like he could hire women without sexually harassing them until he fired them. Technically, it's not saying Caltech found sexual harassment, but she's smearing him with this implication nonetheless. So a kangaroo court could not find him guilty, or did not find him guilty of sexual harassment, and yet he was dropped out of the field completely regardless. Right?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Well,
so
this reminds me of what Tim Hunt, right?
Tim Hunt,
with
the shirt guy.
The problem with
oh no, he's
the nose hair guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was just like, the problem with women in the lab is, you fall in love with them. And he was talking about his wife, who he met when she was, I think she was a research assistant of his or something like that. He was just like, no, women are women in STEM are like, they're valuable. And I would agree that, like there are women in STEM who are geared towards the, I guess, sort of the atmosphere that's already been set in STEM, which is kind of autistic, right?
Yeah.
And there are women who feel really comfortable there. And, like essentially you have a situation where, and I think I put it this way when there was like I was participating in a TV Ontario, The Agenda with Steve Paikin episode, right? Where there was a tech evangelist, a woman who, looks and is completely neurotypical. And she founded a company representing women in tech and promoting women in tech, right? And her entire rhetoric boiled down to women walking into a room full of men in wheelchairs and saying they're made uncomfortable by the wheelchairs. Do something about it, right? Like it's like, okay, are we for neurodiversity or not for it, right? Because men in tech tend to be on the spectrum, which means that they tend to be lacking somewhat in social skills, charm, you could call it. They're not charismatic, and they often don't consider other people's feelings. Their focus is on the work, right? Their focus is entirely on the work, and your feelings are immaterial to that, right? And often these men are vulnerable to falling in love with women who are manipulative and able to lead them down a garden path. And I can give you a prime example. This one, a world-renowned cancer researcher, right?
Yeah.
And he married I guess she was his college sweetheart. So they both went to college, and then he went to med school and he got a PhD and became you know, a research oncologist, and he taught at universities and he did cancer research in the lab and all of this stuff, right? And she just never got a job. She graduated from university and never got a job. And it was 8 years before they even had their first kid. And she never had a job after they were married. And then his daily routine was he would get up in the morning, he would walk his kids to school, right? His two kids to school. And then he would walk to the train station, and then he would take a 90-minute train ride to the train station where in the city where he worked. And then he would get on his bike and he would cycle to the lab, right? And then he would work 8 to 10 hours. And then he would get back on the train for 90 minutes and go home and tuck his kids into bed. Okay. Meanwhile, she hasn't had a job the entire time they were married, right?
Mm.
And then she comes to him and says, okay, and he's telling me this, and he's like, I can't believe I was this stupid, right? He says, she comes to him and says, it's not fair that she has to do all of the housework and childcare. And that it would only be fair if he did half the housework and childcare and also his own laundry.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And he said, and there I was, an idiot, right? Like, I'm an idiot. I took her at her word. I thought she was coming at this in good faith, and I thought I'd give it a try. And I tried for 2 weeks. And then I finally had to say, I can't do this. I can't. There's just not enough hours in the day for me to do this, right? And then during that period when he was trying to do that, he blew up at his boss and got himself shit canned. Okay.
Oh.
And so, yeah, no, but he found another position in another country. Well, it wasn't enough, right? Because he was like, well, okay, you know, like, I can take this position. It's a 1-year contract. And so let's look at rental places. And she's like, oh, we're not going to rent. We're not going to rent. We're going to buy. And we're going to buy
Really?
in a nice neighborhood. Yeah, yeah. And then so he gets locked into, he buys a $550,000 house. Okay. And he doesn't drive. Okay. He doesn't have a driver's license because he just never bothered learning. He was too busy curing cancer. But so, yeah, no. And
A
so,
fine
you know,
excuse.
but she needs a car. Right. And so, but she's not going to get a used car, and she's not going to get like some crappy
Like some
little Honda
pleb.
Civic
Yeah.
base model, right? Or a Kia Forte, right? No, she wants a RAV4, brand new. Right. So he buys her a RAV4. So he's on the hook, and her name's on the title of both of these properties, but not on the loans because she has no income.
Yeah.
Right? So she owns half the house and she owns half the car, but he just owns 100% of the debt, right? And then, okay,
They
and
haven't
then
even gotten divorced yet at this point, and yet
yeah,
he's
no,
already
they're still
getting.
married.
He's already
they're
got
still married.
half.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
they're still married at this point, right? And then, okay, he goes into the den while she's on the computer, and he sees that she's chatting with someone, an old flame from high school. And he's like, is there anything I need to be worried about? She's like, oh, no, absolutely not. Right?
Yeah.
And he believes her because he's a fucking autist. Right? And oh my God. So then 3 weeks later, she packs up the kids and moves herself and them back to their home country. Okay, so that she can hook up with this old flame from high school. And she's left him holding the whole bag, a car he doesn't drive, that he still owes money on, right? And a house that she insisted that they buy, and without even looking at it, just by the realtor's recommendation. You know what that house was? That was a gay couple's house. And you know how I know? There were wall-to-wall mirrors in every room so they can watch themselves fucking in every single room. Okay? It was like this was a house that no one would buy it unless they'd never seen it. Right? Unless they'd never seen the inside of it. Right? But she insisted, and $550,000, right? And he's like, I can't unload this house, right? When I sell the car, I'm going to lose $3,000 minimum on it, right? And that's all on me, right? She gets the full value of the half of the value of the car when we bought it, right? I just get to eat the entirety of the loss, right? And I'm just like, oh, Jesus, fuck. Like, and he's just like, but she just seemed so sincere.
Yep.
And this bitch here, she seems really sincere. And I don't know if I'm buying it. I don't know if I'm buying any of it.
Exactly. That's all I can add to that. Like, it's exactly it. I mean, she has a pained expression. Like, this is hard for her to do, but it's not really. Like, and her outfit is very like, she's not all dolled up. She's not wearing a lot of makeup. She just looks like, your typical neotenous, nerdy woman who just, she's pretty, but she's not trying hard, and like she just fits that thing too perfectly. Yeah. All right, let's listen to some more. Oh, I did get a let me go back. I did get a super chat I should read, or Super Chow. So this one is from the One Good Man, gave us $5 and says, is this woman aware that straight men do not have a monopoly on sexual aggression? They would probably challenge you on that, although yes, it's obvious. It should be obvious.
No. They would say, of course, straight men don't have a monopoly on sexual aggression. Gay men also have a monopoly on sexual aggression. Share that. It's an oligopoly of straight men and gay men.
Yeah, it's men in general.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Let's watch some of this. This is the next. So the first one was Christopher Ott. This is Lawrence Cross. Let's see what she says about this.
Cross. By the way.
Lawrence Cross.
So Lawrence Krauss, he's a physicist. I think he's more famous though for being like baby's first atheist. Like he's like really active, or he was, in the skeptics community. So the timeline.
When Rebecca Watson was, and PJ or PD Myers.
Oh yeah,
you remember Rebecca?
I do.
And
I remember. I obviously remember Rebecca Watson. I have some of her sound bites on my thing here.
Yeah, and what was her name? Michelle Wright minus wrong, as Integral Math used to call her. Was it Michelle? No, and PG Myers hosted PD.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, no, he hosted a hangout with the two of them, Rebecca and Right minus wrong there. And they were talking about how they get harassed all the time. They get it's just nothing but wall-to-wall sexual. Like, I can't even, you know, and it was just like this big freaking humble bragging game of one-upmanship between these two women. Where like, yeah, I can't walk down the street without being harassed. And then the other one is like, I can't even step out on my porch to pick up the morning paper without being sexually harassed, without being catcalled and wolf whistled. And, you know, and
I can't wake up in the morning and look out the window without being like, you know, while still with crud in my eyes.
By a peeping Tom, you know, like, and it's just like, because I'm just that hot. And I'm watching this and I'm like,
the humble brag
on
another level.
Oh God. And then and then Rebecca Watson, she uploaded that she talked about like sexual harassment in atheism. And
we lost Karen again. Oh no, you're back.
Harassment problem. Oh, for fuck's sake.
No, you're back. I mean, sort of.
The women, it seems to happen every time my man goes to pee. I don't know whether that's interfering with the internet.
Is he peeing on the internet cables? Like,
but yeah, no, the internet cables are fine. But yeah, no. So she's talking about how there are atheist women who are non-feminists or whatever, and they're saying that there's like they've never experienced a problem, right, with sexual harassment in the atheist and
hold on, I'm gonna try and refresh her again. It shows that she's there, but she seems to be having some issues, guys. I'm sorry. Thanks for the Super Chow. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything while I'm waiting for Karen to come back. This is the nature of the beast. I'm sorry, guys. If I had a studio like Tim Pool, I don't know, man. Maybe we'd be better off. I don't know. I mean, I'm not in PZ Myers. Thank you, Troll with a Purpose. That's the name, PZ. I'm going to tell Karen when she comes back. I will tell her. But in the meantime, let's get to the second anecdote, because, I mean, I can't go for a whole lot longer because I got to pick up Lindsay. So
he was associated with CFI, which is a Skeptic Institute, and there was a woman there working part-time who hoped to get a full-time position. And when she met Krauss, she told him this, and he invited her to dinner. First, he asked to meet her at the hotel room where he's staying. So she goes up, assuming they'll go down to have dinner at the hotel. Here's the quote. She said Krauss made a comment about her eye makeup, got very close to her face. Suddenly, he lifted her by the arms and pushed her onto the bed beneath him, forcibly kissing her and trying to pull down the crotch of her tights. She said she struggled to push him off. When he pulled out a condom, she got out from under him, said, "I have to go," and rushed out of the room. Krauss denies that this was not consensual. 2007, so he's working.
So we can't know for sure. She's just reading. This is like essentially this stuff all seems to be, his word against hers and vice versa. There were no police reports filed. There were just complaints. I don't know when they happened, if there was a delay in time. And it's basically impossible to prove. So like you can I'm sorry, but these women can just say something happened and they already have an advantage. Like guys are just, even men are just be like, yeah, that sounds about right. And then that's it. Like nobody thinks, these are serious allegations. Like it seems like this is a unique crime, because if it was murder, we'd probably be like, yeah, we should probably look into this and make sure that we got our ducks in a row, right? But because it's sexual assault, I don't know, man. People's brains, they just short circuit over this. They can't handle it. So I'm going to jump ahead to the next bit, the next clip, and Karen has come back again. Okay, you're back.
Well, I think you're the one who keeps dropping out.
Really? I'm still streaming.
Well, it's like this entire time, my internet connection has been strong, and And then I just refreshed the page and all of a sudden I'm back. But, I had to sign in again. But I don't know what's going on.
Well, I don't know what's going on, but I'm still, I haven't, my internet's not the issue. It could be an issue with this service, this thing we're using, but I don't know. So I guess if you can, I mean, just so we can get through the show, which is fine. Like, if you can, just keep an eye on it. And if it looks like it drops, just refresh and come right back. And I will also.
Now you're frozen.
Am I? Oh yeah, Karen dropped again. See, try to refresh, Karen, if you can hear this. You're back, sort of. Yeah, I got red bars here. What does this mean? What is that? Let me see. This is on Karen's end. Can you hear me? I don't know how to read any of this shit. This guy's really complex. So anyway, let me refresh over here. Maybe I'll refresh the chat and see. Hold on a second, guys. Let me just reload this. There's Karen. There's me. Can you hear me? What?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I just refreshed it on my end, so maybe that'll make a difference.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
No, I did a refresh because I thought I don't know, maybe that's what it needs. No idea. So anyway, it seems to be okay now. Just Troll with a Purpose says Discord having embed problems today, general internet dysfunction. So yeah, maybe it's China. Maybe it's neither you or me. Maybe it's Xi Jinping. He's like pressing the hack button on his giant evil computer.
Oh, and
we're all feeling it.
While petting Mr. Bigglesworth.
Yeah, while petting Mr. Bigglesworth. Yeah.
Yeah, just before he cooks him for dinner.
All right. So she went through we talked a little bit about PZ Myers. Karen, that was the name.
That's it.
PZ Myers. Yes, that's right. And I want to jump to the next anecdote. So the third target is Jeff Marcy, 3528. I don't know if you know who Jeff Marcy is, but we're going to look at that. 3520. Ooh, I just saw it. 27. Here we go. And I will put it on the screen. Play it. Hold on.
Jeff Marcy. So Jeff Marcy worked at San Francisco State, 1995. Graduate students stated that Jeff Marcy would rub her shoulders and one day grab her when they were in a meeting together. Here's a quote from her. I had just gotten married and he would ask me, when are you getting a divorce? I just basically wanted to get my master's and leave. The same year, different graduate students stated that Marcy would touch her hair and brush up to her with his legs, which would cause his to touch her. She told him more than a few times that this behavior made her uncomfortable, but he did not stop. Here's what she says. Because he was a vocal supporter of women in science. You can't be a vocal supporter of women in science and also rub your on them. It was contradictory in my head that he would have bad intentions, but at the same time, it just felt so uncomfortable that after a few times, I had to tell him to stop. Okay.
That's fine. Again, it's just another anecdote. It's just like all three of these have this in common, okay?
Okay, sure, but if this anecdote is true, right, then that's unacceptable.
Yeah, I mean, right? I don't disagree with that.
But a lot of the things that that get brought up are ridiculous, right? A lot of the things that get brought up as sexual harassment are ridiculous. They don't qualify as sexual harassment. Having a crush on somebody, right? Seeing them as sexually
lost her again. And we lost her again. Oh no, you're back. All right. You're back.
Unfucking believable.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know what's going on either. But what I'm saying is, you know, like they're lumping all of these things, right? All of these various stories, right, in together. And, you know, you would actually be better served, even if you're talking anecdotes that haven't been proven, right, to actually stick with the actual things that actually merit being upset about. Like having a male coworker rub up against you, and then you tell him that it makes you feel uncomfortable and he keeps doing it. That's a thing. That's a thing that happens, right? And it's not something that anybody should be should tolerate, right? That doesn't remotely fit, you know, a lot of the sort of allegations that end up being lumped in with this to prove this like systemic problem. And like there's always going to be assholes. I don't understand how women can't understand this, right? There are always going to be assholes. There are always going to be dicks, right? And usually, right, eventually, they end up failing out of whatever position they're in, usually, right? Sometimes they're like my husband's toxic coworker and he's protected by the union, and, you know, like there's just no way to fire him without getting sued. And so they just kind of they try and, okay, well, we'll move him to a different building, you know, or we'll move his desk all the way across to the other side of the building, you know, or, oh, now we'll move him to a different facility, right? To get him out of everybody's hair and like allow the other people to get their work done, as opposed to dealing with this guy's drama, right? Yeah. And I mean, so there's always going to be toxic people. There's always going to be that, right? That doesn't mean it's a systemic problem. You know, like in STEM in particular, and it's not like it's something that's like completely exclusive to men. You know, like I have had some female bosses who were something else again, and female coworkers. And not just something else again, like they weren't trying to hit on me or anything like that. They were just, you know, trying to reputationally destroy everyone else around them, right? And you know, like, so it's like, this is just human nature. This is like the nature of what happens when you have a group of more than 150 people, right?
Yep.
A hierarchy of more than 150 people, which is like 150 to 300, which is Dunbar's number, right? Dunbar's number, right? That's the number of human relationships you can actually track, and where you actually kind of know everybody and can keep track of what they're doing. And that's it. That's as much as humans are capable of. And ironically, that's the number of chimpanzees that are in a group, and the number of, like, that's the limitation of non-human species that are social but not eusocial, like bees and wasps and ants and stuff like that. That's the limiting number of the members of the community that you can keep track of to know whether you can trust them or you can't trust.
Ooh. She'll be back. It seems like it goes for a while and then she drops and then she comes back. So I'm not doing it on purpose to cut her off or anything. Obviously. She might have to refresh. I'm gonna play the. So we got like the general. She has these anecdotes. They are the basis for her next thing. Okay, Karen's back.
Oh my Jesus Christ. Anyway, the bigger the number of people in a system, the more cheaters and free riders will get away with cheating and free riding. Right? That's
Yes.
just how it is.
Yeah.
Right? And so you're looking at a university, a corporation, right? You're looking at all of those things. Well, even a small business is only considered 500 employees or less, right? So even that's a small business is above Dunbar's number. And you're going to get cheaters and free riders, and you're going to get people who are not trustworthy because you can't watch everyone all the time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so for sure. And again, I guess this what you're getting at is that ultimately, I mean, it's just
This is
it's
an
the
endemic.
issue.
It's an endemic problem, and it's an endemic problem with large systems, right? And if you wanted to
Yeah.
get rid of it, if you really wanted to get rid of it, you would try to decentralize everything, right?
Yeah, yeah. And again, like there's I mean, I don't know, it might have to be the case that you know, you need people to group together to work on things based on like whether or not they have like the same goals in mind, as opposed to just like, oh, we just need women in here. Because I think the quotas are part of the problem. I mean,
Oh yeah,
you know, it's like if you have a bunch of spurgy dudes, then and they all seem to work together fine, like bees in a beehive, then leave them to it. And throwing a woman like this kind of woman, so like spurgy women could probably be okay too. But a woman like this that's just going to be in there, or she's going to like hear, oh, it's so, you know, it's so toxic and dangerous. I mean, they're basically saying it's the same thing as a frat house, but a
Yeah.
frat guy wouldn't be like comfortable. He'd be out of his element with these spurky dudes in science too. And
Yeah.
and you know, we wouldn't call that like, I don't know, we wouldn't call it you know, something that needs to result in
it's an unwelcoming work environment for that
Yeah.
jock, right?
Yeah.
No.
Exactly. So, you know, we have to understand that. I mean, and the thing is too is that when it comes to like these, I don't know, like these women that are reporting on this discomfort, again, leaving aside the possibility that they might be true, all we have is like what they claim they're experiencing and how that experience makes them feel, as opposed to like how much of this is true. So like if guys, I'm not talking about the guy supposedly rubbing his crotch on them and supposedly it being intentional and all that. I mean, obviously that's unacceptable. That's beyond the pale. But like, if the guy's just trying to talk to somebody and he's just really like, you know, socially awkward and he like crosses a line without knowing it, we would like we shouldn't treat that the same. But a woman might experience that to the same degree. Like, so the way a woman interprets what's happening versus what's actually happening, you know? So it's, I don't know. It's like, Allison's got, Karen's got her hand on her head, but is she, okay. What's wrong? Can you hear me? Okay. Well, it'll probably start working again. I'm gonna just keep going. I'm saying that men and women's interpretation, the way that we receive data, is just really different, and I think it's causing problems. And I think some people exploit that. So, Karen is gone, and we'll see if she comes back. She's probably refreshing her page right now. So, let's see. So we're going to jump to her convoluted mathematical plot that explains that men get away with this stuff. So 45:58. Oh, that's kind of where I'm at, right? No, not quite. 45:55. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and play it.
He was so prolific in his sexual harassment that someone published anonymously before a AAS meeting a kind of playbook for how people who are late career researchers will sexually harass and assault early career researchers. And I think that speaks to how often this happened. It was about Jeff Marcy, but they published it anonymously and didn't mention him. But they had seen him do this so many times that they established a pattern. And I can link to it, but I want to discuss this in a different way so you can understand how pervasive this behavior is.
All right, I see Karen trying to get in. Is it something that I am doing wrong? Why is this happening? Let me do a quick speed test on my thing. I have it running in the background right now, but I don't think it's my internet. I'll also try to refresh this room one more time. So, and we'll see. Okay, I'm in again. So I doubt this woman has been sexually harassed at all. Well, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, it's so subjective. It's prone to these issues. Okay, there she is. Sorry, Karen.
Well,
I don't know what it is. Maybe we should only go for a little while longer, and I don't know.
Maybe we should just end it right now, because like it's just dying and dying and dying and dying, and I can't figure out what's wrong, because it says my connection, not just to my Wi-Fi but to the internet, is strong. And yeah, and I don't know what the fuck is happening.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just think, honestly, like, I don't know whether there's anything more that we can really add to this woman's complaints, other than, like, if a dude is hitting on you and he won't stop, even after you ask him to stop, right? That's harassment, right? If he hits on you once and then you tell him no thanks, and he stops, then that's not harassment. And if he thinks maybe, if you don't tell him no, you tell him, well, I shouldn't, right? Well, you're leaving the door open for the guy, right? Like, are you fucking retarded? You need to say no, not no, I don't dance. No, I don't want to dance with you. Right?
Yeah.
You need to learn how to freaking assert yourself. And like, this is one of the things with young women, right? And by young, I mean like millennials and younger, right? They just don't know how to freaking say no. This is a generation of people who, when mom tags along for their first job interview, right, aren't humiliated. They're relieved. They've got their mom sitting there as a wingman, right? And it's like, yeah, no, this is not okay, right? That's not how I raised my kids. And you know what? My daughter, she was sexually harassed at work. And she did what she could to absolutely put a stop to it. And then when that didn't work, she made a complaint and she dealt with it professionally. And she did not demand that the guy be fired. She just said, I just want it to stop. And to their credit, her employer was very, very good about, they changed his shifts, not hers. They so that they wouldn't ever be working together, and let alone getting off work together, so that he could approach her at the bus stop and offer her a ride home at like midnight, which was super fun for her. But they took her wishes into account. She didn't want him fired. He was like a new immigrant, didn't have a lot of English, and she was like, where else is he going to be able to get a job? And like, I don't want to ruin his life. I just want him to stop, right?
Yeah.
And he did, and because I guess they put the fear in him, and so he stopped, and that was that. And it's like, that's how you handle it. You don't say there's like a systemic problem of sexual harassment at this company, right? And
Yeah.
ooh, he should have been fired and like and then like blacklisted for the rest of his life from getting any kind of job anywhere.
Put him on a list.
Right,
Yeah.
like- Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's I'm sorry, but you know, and I've been through harassment as well, and it's like it's not fun to deal with when it's targeted and ongoing, but uh which is probably why I don't consider 90% of what the complaints are in STEM fields like that women have made against men. I don't consider it harassment. You haven't experienced fucking harassment until you've been through what I've been through, right?
Yep.
So
All right. Well, I guess
Like-
what I will do, so it seems like your connection is okay right now. So the next time you conk out, I'll just end the show.
yeah, no, you're starting to.
Am I? Oh, it's begun. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, for now. But I think we should just
All right.
say goodbye.
Yeah, let's do that. All right. We'll wrap it up there. Let me just make sure I didn't miss any other Super Chows or anything like that. It doesn't look like it. So we're gonna wrap it up there. I think that it's true. I mean, Allison gave me a lot of material, but this thing doesn't need to be a 3-hour epic. We know it's the same old song, right? She literally quotes BuzzFeed as her like primary source. So
Oh God.
yeah. And we already know that the actual data as presented by Peter Wright, I think he shared this bit of info that shows that let me just put it on the screen here. Motives for basically that women are also a big player in this. They also engage in a lot of sexual harassment stuff. It's just that they don't obviously this woman wants to say this is a systemic problem. And even when you are acquitted, even when you are found not guilty, didn't do anything, it doesn't matter because your reputation is damaged regardless. Finnish astronomers acquitted in defamation case related to protesting harassment. And by the way, why do they look like that? What is this? What am I looking at? Free Assange. Anyway. Yeah, the guy is.
Well, free Assange, totally fine, but
no, yeah, totally, that's fine. It's just everything else. The everything else. He looks like Sandman. Okay, but anyway, so
no, Sandman was way more muscular. So
the Sandman from the comics.
Yeah, was way more muscular. But also, is that actually a male?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say yes. He's got the Destiny body, and no, it's not. Earrings doesn't really mean a lot. Oh well.
No. I'm not going by the earrings.
Oh, look, the astronomers Till Sawala and Siski Rasanen were acquitted of criminal defamation. So that might be a woman. Anyway.
I know. If it's a woman, it might be a woman who's transitioned.
Yeah, possibly.
Right? So, but the shoulders are just way too narrow.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, we're gonna end it there. Thanks, guys, for coming on the show. Sorry about all the technical problems. If you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment, let us know what you guys think about what we talked about in the show today. You can look at the video in the description. I put the link to the full video in the description. Be warned, it's long, about 2 hours, and there isn't a lot there except, again, a feminist reading off of a bunch of anecdotes regarding stories that I think some we've actually covered in the past. So thanks, Karen, for being a sport and coming on the show. And we'll talk to you guys in the next one. Please share this video because sharing is caring. Thanks so much for coming on today's episode of the Rantzerker, and we'll talk to you all in the next video.
are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.